capitalism and Marxism and socialism. This right now we're in a wave of this, right? It's become more popular now. I would say over the last, particularly during the Trump administrations, the concept of socialism at least has become more publicly discussed than any time that I can remember in my life. Why do you think that is?
I think it's because the generation that's coming up is, I mean, you have to understand the academic community is I always say the intellectuals have always been the enemy of business, enemy of, certainly the enemy of capitalism. And
but why is that?
I think because in a market society, which has been rare in history, we haven't mostly had market societies, but they're not very important in a market society.
The intellectuals aren't very important?
Generally not as important, no.
But are
what? Are CEOs important in a market society, you fucking idiot? What the fuck? Like, intellectuals are way more important than a fucking CEO, dumbass. What the fuck? They aren't valued for their skills, the CEOs are? Point to a single skill that a CEO is valuable for that isn't just completely inflated by this entire fucking self-serving system that we've created. There is not a single fucking CEO skill. Not a single one. Companies could work very well without CEOs. Pol Pot Andy over here, dude. Fucking...
Aren't they the ones that inspire the minds of the people that create and maybe innovate in the industry?
They don't have the same social status that the entrepreneurs have. An Elon Musk or Steve Jobs or Jeff Bezos. These
so you think it's an ego issue? The social status issue?
Think about it this way. If you're going to school, okay, and the people that end up...
He's saying that in a market society, which we haven't had one, but he's saying like in a free market society, intellectuals would have no value, and that's why they criticize it, and that's why they rail against it. That's why they're socialists, because they would have no value, which is ironic and totally fucking idiotic, considering that what's the first fucking thing? What is the first fucking thing that socializing nations do, developing nations do? It's increase the literacy rates. Okay? Education is a fundamental plank of socialization. It's literally one of the most significant things that the USSR has done. It's so important that funding education is so fucking important for socialist countries, democratic socialist countries, or countries that are socializing, that like the CIA, the State Department, neoliberals always regard it as a completely nonsensical thing that like we should not even fucking focus on. What does this have to do with this clip? Am I misunderstanding what he's saying? He's saying that intellectuals rail against socialism, or intellectuals are socialist and rail against free market societies because they would be completely irrelevant in a free market society. I interpret his statement as intellectuals aren't valued as much as they should be in market societies, whereas in socialist ones they'd have more value. Okay, that's fair. That is correct.
Teaching in the universities were always...
Am I misunderstanding what he's saying? What the fuck? Hold on. I'm going to run that back.
Innovate in the industry?
They don't have the same social status that the entrepreneurs have. An Elon Musk or Steve Jobs or Jeff Bezos. These
so you think it's an ego issue? The social status issue?
Think about it this way. If you're going to school, okay, and the people that end up teaching in the universities were always the smartest kids in the school generally, and they did well in school. I mean, smart in terms of doing well in school. And they go on to college, and then they go and get a PhD, and then that's all they've known is school. That's been their universe, right? And they excelled at it. And they were smarter than the other kids in school. And now these other kids, they go to college, and they get a degree in business, and they're in a fraternity, and they make a lot of friends and relationships, and they make more money than the intellectuals do. And that seems like that's completely unfair. It's an unjust world that this less smart people are making more money than the smart people do, and they have more status in the society. And I think that's underlying it is a resentment or an envy of a society that doesn't judge them to be as important as they judge themselves.
That's interesting, but I think it's a very flawed perspective. And first of all, the term smart is a weird term.
I said smart in terms of school. I didn't say in terms of street smarts or ability to do things, to connect with people. There's emotional intelligence. I'm merely saying they're good at taking tests, writing papers, abstracting thoughts, essentially.
Yeah, but this is what I'm saying. That just...
I mean, he's right about how... is he saying that this is not a meritocracy? I'm so confused about the way he's, like, going around this. He's saying exactly what Hassan was arguing against. Like, this is so... He himself likes a free market society, I assume. That's what you would... he's a fucking CEO, right? CEO of Whole Foods, defending capitalism. Like, this notion that... This is why you need fucking materialism, okay? This entire notion that, like, academia and intellectuals are purely motivated by spite and jealousy is such a idealistic, silly bitch take that it blows my mind that you could just say that as an adult. It literally is just... You sound like a child. You're like, they're just jealous, and that's why they're railing against capitalism. Because, like, capitalism doesn't allow them to make money. It's like, okay, well, bitch, I make money. I'm a fucking idiot, okay? I still rail against capitalism. You don't have to be fucking jealous. It's that it goes back to the same notion. If you're rich and you criticize capitalism, you're a hypocrite. If you're poor and you criticize capitalism, you're fucking jealous. It's just about devaluing any argument that anyone can ever make against capitalism. That's all you're doing. He's saying that intellectuals only have book smarts. They can only be good with tests and theory, while capitalists knows practice is complete horseshit, of course. Yeah, especially because, like, this notion that, you know, he mentions Steve Jobs. And he mentioned Elon Musk. And the whole point for both of them is that they know how to hire the right people and they know how to market themselves. That's it. I used to work for Whole Foods before the Amazon buyout. Fuck Mackie and fuck Whole Foods. Chicken salad per pound was more than I got paid an hour.
The term smart, it's almost like... The problem is it's like a blanket term, right? It's like drugs. You know, like it applies to a bunch of different things that don't necessarily seem to be related. But the people that are interested in that pursue that. The fact that they can't understand that there's an like Elon Musk is a great example. If you don't think Elon Musk is intelligent, you're either you're
not very intelligent yourself. Yeah. You don't think Elon Musk is intelligent.
You're delusional, or you're...
No. I think Elon Musk is the most overvalued dogshit person on the fucking planet. It's Elon Musk and Steve Jobs, as a matter of fact, are a living, breathing testament to how much a capitalist organization of the economy places an outsized emphasis on branding and aesthetics. Elon Musk has been able to brand himself as the Tony Stark of our generation so successfully that virtually everyone is like, oh no, he is the brilliant. He's brilliant. He's so fucking smart. Elon Musk is a good capitalist. Elon Musk is good at hiring the right engineers and taking ownership of other people's work. That's what good capitalists do. Steve Jobs is the exact fucking same. There's a reason why we hail these two people as heroes. Steve Jobs ultimately believed in like holistic medication that fucking ended up owning him. Okay? Ultimately. So that's not really street smarts in that respect. And Elon Musk, the other fucking brilliant person that we're talking about here, is perpetrating coronavirus conspiracies like he's a fucking Facebook Karen. Okay? They're good at certain things and bad at others. Steve Jobs was very good at marketing. Okay? He cared about that shit, and he was very good at it. It's great. Elon Musk is very good at hiring the right kinds of people and oppressing his workers while simultaneously branding himself as like this neurodivergent Tony Stark who is simply like when he looks like an asshole, it's a consequence of the fact that he's, you know, neuroatypical. Okay? That's why. That's always his fallback plan. And also, every time that he's doing something well, it's because, well, he's a savant. He's so smart.
Much love, my Dudrino.
You're not any kind of smart to me if you downplay COVID in April 2020? Yeah, exactly.
You're a liar or you're in denial.
Right.
It's one of those things. Is something wrong with the way you think? He's clearly intelligent, but there's people that call him a fool, and that like the guy's running like 4 different businesses simultaneously. They're all successful, and he's innovating with when it comes to space travel in a way that you would assume that someone have to dedicate most of their life. Just
I love this. Okay. This is something I haven't. It's theory time, boys. And this is Hasanism. Okay. This is Hasanist theory. All right. Are you guys ready for this? Capitalism is dogmatic. They have capitalists have very successfully created dogmatic thought. I'm going to use religion as an example here. Okay? And there's still the same amount of accumulation of wealth, the same amount of accumulation of power, and the same amount of oppression for the underclass that existed in other feudal formings. Okay? I'm not talking about primitive accumulation. I'm not talking about primitive communist societies. I'm talking about like from feudalism to monarchy to now. There has always been an accumulation of wealth and power at the top. That is how our societies have formed, no matter what. The justification under theocratic monarchies was that the god king deserves to be in that position and deserves all of your gold because God is the one who made him king. Under capitalism, it's meritocracy. Okay? That's it. The divine right of kingdom, the divine right of kingship, has turned into intergenerational wealth passed on by the false notion of meritocracy. We now believe that the billionaires deserve the wealth and power that they have accumulated because we believe in a meritocratic society. We believe that smart people and successful people deserve to be in the position that they're at. Well, I'll tell you this. I think I'm living, breathing example of the falsehood of meritocracy. There are people who are infinitely smarter than me. There are people who are infinitely more clever than myself, more charismatic. Maybe they don't work as hard as I do. I do fucking love what I do, so I'm constantly streaming, but that doesn't matter. I'm here and they're not. There is no meritocracy. It is a complete fucking lie. But you have to believe that in order to justify this entire system. You have to believe that this is a just system. Otherwise, everything falls apart. Otherwise, democracy is not real. Otherwise, everything that you have been taught in school, everything that you've been taught for your entire life, everything that you've been conditioned into believing is a falsehood, is based around a falsehood. That's why you love the concept of proselytizing someone like Elon Musk. That's why you have to believe that Jeff Bezos is a billion times smarter and works a billion times harder than the average worker.
Based.
Okay? That's my himboist take on this. Okay? Marxist himboism. It's bullshit. And that's precisely why the CEO is talking about this. He's demonstrating his class solidarity currently. Smarts aren't the kind of merit that capitalism demands. There's different kinds of merits valued by different systems. Meritocracy isn't black and white, certainly. But the way that we make the system work, the way that we believe that this system is just, is by believing that it is a meritocratic process. When there is private accumulation of capital, okay, when there is intergenerational wealth, you will never have a truly meritocratic society. When there is no true equality of opportunity, and there never will be an equality of opportunity, if we're being real, we're never going to have a true meritocratic process. There can be no meritocracy if a child born in Africa, in an African fucking country, or a child born in India could be infinitely smarter than you, but will never materialize their skills. Will never be able to achieve or unlock their potential because there is no fucking equality of opportunity. You get a bad spawn point, you're fucked.
Just singularly to that task, to be able to figure out past NASA how to shoot a rocket up into space and have it land,
Right.
and then reuse it. No one's been able to do that besides him, or up until he did it. And I think Jeff Bezos' company is doing the same thing too now.
Blue Origin.
Yeah.
They're obviously two of the great entrepreneurs of this particular era.
But I don't think Jeff Bezos is actually engineering these things.
But if you think about it, the intellectuals of...
Yeah, but neither is Elon. But you think he is. And the reason why you think Elon is doing it is because of marketing. Hello? That's the whole point. Neither is Elon Musk. Elon Musk is not fucking engineering the rockets, dude. But you think he is because of this false notion of meritocracy.
Always disliked business. They've always discriminated against the merchant classes, the Jews in the West, Chinese in the East. There's really been no historical period where intellectuals praised business. Maybe a little bit around the time of Adam Smith, up until probably Ricardo and Malthus wrote in the early 19th century. For the most part, business people have been seen, they're disruptive. They change things. They upset the status quo. They innovate. Well, a lot of people don't like innovations. It's threatening. It changes.
What? No one dislikes innovation. The reason why innovation is seen as conflicting with the underclass's better interests is literally because of capitalism. Everybody loves innovation. If you fucking build the wheel, that's ultimately a good thing, okay? You can now do transport. You fucking figure out how to control fire. That's ultimately a good thing. You are developing.
Hello?
You are innovating so that you can build a society. Except
in the United States,
the societal formation. Oh, shut the fuck up!
To create the same kind of businesses.
I hate these fucking donos! It's not significant! Nothing you have to say is significant! Fuck! No, I turned it off. Fuck me, dude. Oof. I don't even know what I was saying. I've lost the fucking take completely. Oh, answer a real question I've asked. If it's dumb, I'm gonna ban you. Please, can you speak more philosophically about human struggle for power and what we envision as change in the world? This is how we change the world. These conversation and political rambles are guiding us. I think not. I think we must strive for farther inner experience. Man, shut the fuck up, dude. Just fucking time yourself out. Yeah, let me fucking have a philosophical conversation. The reason why we are pitted against innovation, unfortunately, is because of capitalism. Okay? That's the reality. That's why I as much as I think like Andrew Yang, for the most part, is thinks he's doing his best when he talks about UBI or when he talks about automation specifically. The issue is if you don't address that people hating automation or people being against automation functionally is a direct consequence of how wealth is extracted, how wealth is accumulated, then you're missing the fucking forest for the trees. Everybody wants innovation. Innovation is great. It's supposed to take away all of the unfulfilling jobs. AI and automation is supposed to take the place of jobs that are laborious, jobs that are difficult to do. But unfortunately, the gains from innovation are not distributed to the workers. The gains from innovation are not shared. Those who own capital keep more and more of the profits to themselves. That's why productivity has increased in the United States of America, but with no counterforce to engage in collective bargaining, such as unions, for example, wages have not increased along with it. So with a computer, you are 10 times more productive than your father was. Okay? Because you have a computer now. You have a cell phone. You're working 24 hours round the clock. You are so much more productive. And yet you make a fraction of the wealth that he was able to make. How is that just? It's not innovation that people are against. It's the distribution. That's the problem. It's how production occurs and how profits are distributed as a consequence of that.
It changes social status. It changes wealth
Is your take that Yang is anti-innovation? Are you not for UBI? Wait, no, Andrew Yang is not anti-innovation. What the fuck are you talking about? No, Andrew Yang's solution to innovation, automation destroying certain sectors, is just UBI. Give more money to the people directly. The problem is that's not the entire problem. Like, it's not addressing the actual issue. Innovation is supposed to make everyone's lives better. Okay? But unfortunately, with our current organization of the economy, innovation only makes certain people's lives better. It makes our lives artificially better as workers, right? You get a better TV. You get better technology that's cheaper. Sure. And you think that your life is better, but meanwhile, you've lost your job. You no longer can make the same amount of money because automation has taken your place. Okay? That's because profits are not distributed evenly. That's because currently, the way it stands, we believe that those who own capital deserve all of that. They deserve it. They were the first to accumulate the wealth. They were the ones who put the upfront, they were the ones who assumed the risk. They were the ones who put the upfront capital to start the business. So of course they deserve every single thing that business produces. You're lucky that you even get a wage to begin with. That's the mentality that we have. We have a peasant's mentality, unfortunately. So a lot of things have not changed since then.
That it's almost like capitalism is like a genie that got out of the bottle, and they're trying very hard to stuff the genie back in the bottle as much as they can. And I think if you think about it that way, you'll understand we're never going to win the.
You're saying profits should be distributed equally, but should losses be as well? Losses are distributed unequally already. And unequally in the sense that what happens, we all, okay, here's a great example. We always talk about how capital owners are actually assuming a big chunk of risk, right? They're assuming risk. 80% of businesses fail in this country. So they deserve all the profits to do whatever they want to do with the profits themselves. Like, come on, you're being crazy. 80% of businesses they fail. Okay, well, what happens to the worker when the business fails? The worker doesn't get bailed out in the same way that the fucking capital owner does. The worker is also assuming a risk, knowing that 80% of businesses fail. If anything, the business owner makes out better as a consequence of bailouts than the fucking worker who lost his job. We never even consider the risk assumed by a worker when we talk about 80% of businesses failing.
Intellectuals over. I mean, I speak in universities all the time, and the students, I'm an entrepreneur, I self-identify that way. Students love when I talk about conscious capitalism. As I say, you can do good and you can do well. There's no contradiction here. You're the good guys here. You're not the bad guys.
Do you debate people about this?
I do. I've debated a number of socialists.
And what is their primary argument?
Their primary argument is that business is greedy and selfish, and it's about motivations, that business people have the wrong motivations. In a lot of ways, conscious capitalism.
It's not just business people. Whoa. That's a fucking incredibly reductive take. No, it is true. It is about motivations, but it's not about the motivations of the business owner. It's the motivation of the worker. Leftists believe, or anti-capitalists, and this is going to be reductive as well, broadly believe that there are different forms of remuneration. Now, either you are subjected to a lifetime of doing a job that you don't want to because of the fear that if you don't have that job, you won't be able to put food on your table or a shelter over your own head or clothes on your body, which is a negative incentivization for you to be subjected to this kind of future, or rather a positive incentivization where you have ownership over the means of production, and therefore you believe that what you are doing is more meaningful, no matter what. Even if you are cleaning the fucking toilets. Your work has more meaning because you, at the end of the day, have more of a say in how the profits get distributed. Whether it is giving more money to you, whether it is getting more benefits, or whether it's paying for a marketing budget if you want to. That's how it works. Conscious capitalism does not address the inherent contradictions within a capitalist organization of the economy. This notion that you, as a worker, if you ever worked in retail or if you ever worked in the service industry, you know exactly what I'm talking about right now. You as a worker want to work as little hours as possible for the most amount of pay. Your manager or your boss or your capital owner wants the exact opposite. Your boss wants you to work the most amount of time for the least amount of pay that he can get away with paying you. That is the inherent contradiction at the heart of capitalism. If you do not solve that contradiction, you cannot have conscious capitalism. And the way that profits get accumulated, and the way that wealth gets accumulated at the top, creates a system where we avoid this inherent contradiction. Creates a system where every facet of information tells you that there is no better way to organize the economy. That there is no contradiction. And if there is a contradiction, well, there is no better way to organize the economy, and that workers are stupid and they wouldn't know what to do with themselves.
Capitalism is an answer to that. It's a complete answer to that, because
if everyone on Twitch divided earnings equally with every streamer, would you do that? Again, you do not understand how this works at all. You're just basically throwing up, like you're basically throwing like numbers at a fucking board. You're slinging shit, assuming that it will stick. It's ironic that Marxism is built upon the labor theory of value that literally is about getting proper payment for your work, and yet so many people, one, misunderstand it, and two, think that like Marxism or socialism is when everyone makes the same amount of money. It's not about that at all. Socialism is about egalitarianism, where like everyone has to have equal outcomes and everyone has to get paid the same. The doctor gets paid the same. Or socialism is when janitor is the CEO. Like, that's not how this works at all. It's an utterly shit take. Human beings are fundamentally selfish creatures. This is why capitalism works. I'm all for social democracy, but we must recognize that whilst capitalism has been horrible, painful, blah, 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 it lifted billions of people out of poverty this century alone. The only realistic way we move forward is through automation and innovation brought about by capitalism. God, you're like a fucking stupid take machine, aren't you? Jesus Christ, dude. Have you ever had a good take in this chat, Smork Summoner? Like, it feels like, I can't tell if you're fucking memeing me or some shit. Or it's got to be a copy paste, right? Like, what a fucking psychotically stupid take. One, capitalism has not uplifted billions of people out of poverty. That's automation and technological innovation, which exponentially grows regardless of whether we are under a capitalist organization of the economy or any other organization of the economy. It's some silly bitch shit, okay? One, if that was the case, then the USSR would not, the USSR would have fucking failed completely. Okay, so that's one. Secondly, capitalism has uplifted millions from poverty. Okay, so is China? Because when you look at that, it's mostly China. So are you just saying that China is a capitalist state then? Is that what your take is then? Because outside of China, outside of Chinese development, and outside of the global poverty index and the way that they look at poverty as a concept globally, which is a laughable concept. It's like $1. What is the fucking metric for poverty globally? It's like $1, isn't it? Or something silly. It's like $4, which it changes. $1.90 per day. You think that's a good metric? You think that's a good index? You think that's a successful way to figure out whether we have truly uplifted the global south? Oh wow, the people in Indonesia should be very, very grateful that capitalism has uplifted them. Which is, by the way, unironically, a concept that neoliberals believe in. Like, they literally think, like, why do you hate the global poor is a rallying cry for neoliberals. Why do you hate the global south? Why do you hate the global poor? Like, the best way to uplift them is by exploiting their labor. Top 400 wealthiest got $1.3 trillion richer this year, while 6 million people are facing eviction. Wait, what do you mean 6 million people are facing eviction? You mean in America? You're talking about America alone. The world produces enough food for everyone to not go hungry, but people go hungry because it isn't profitable. 14 million people die every year under the capitalist organization of the economy as a consequence of famine or famine-related diseases. 14 million annually. But we make enough food for the rest of the planet to survive on. But that's not a consequence of capitalism. That's a consequence of your individual failure, that you died. Because you didn't work hard enough. Of course, anyone that dies under communism, 100 gorillion to be exact, they all died because of communism.
In the book and in Conscious Leadership as well, we're basically arguing that business isn't primarily about maximizing profits. Business is primarily about creating value for other people. And through creating value for other people, you do make a profit. But it's the value creation that comes first. The profits come second in exchange, right? And it's almost, if you are creating value, then you are profitable. And then you can reinvest those profits, and you have this upwards spiral.
I mean, this is complete falsehood. Again, how do you... So Amazon doesn't exist. Like, the way that profit works in this stage is especially because of the financialization of every fucking economy, it's the exact opposite. It's literally not about fucking being profitable anymore. That's like capitalism. Capitalists love to fucking talk about old school economic theories as though we don't live in the real world currently. Like, he's literally obliged to maximize profit as the CEO of a publicly traded company. Yeah, no, I know. It's his fiduciary responsibility.
So that business has this potential for...
It's crazy. The stock market is a measure of big corporations' confidence and profit, not the livelihoods of working people. Like, there is the Dow hits 30,000 for the first time right now, when American food insecurity is at an all-time fucking high. Okay? What more do you want to see? What more do you need to see about the K-shaped recovery? There's bread lines in fucking Texas. It's the Gilded Age all over again, dude. Conscious capitalism is a silly bitch notion. I'm sorry. It's just a way to just apply some new spit shine on that same old bullshit, hoping that the fucking plebs, the workers, the peasants don't recognize that they're being sold the same old fucking exploitative constructs. That's it. Conscious capitalism. You are so false, and it hurts my head. Okay, going forward, I don't care how many months you've been a subscriber. If this is just bait, like it probably is bait. But if you have a take like this, you need to address what it is directly, instead of just saying like you're wrong and you're sad or you're bad, or else I'm going to ban you. So please go ahead quickly before I do ban you. Make an argument before I ban the fuck out of you. Continues to be edgy or make borderline Islamophobic comments. Consider a ban. Make an argument quick. Mod comments are making it. Okay, give me 5 minutes. My English is too bad, lol. Okay, you have 5 minutes.
For higher purpose. It's not primarily about greed. Greed is found in human nature, Joe. It's not just found in business people.
Oh yeah, no, totally. Well, so is fucking eating your children as a bear. If in order to survive the long winter after hibernation if you can't find food. Should we start doing that too? Naturalist fallacy is an appeal to nature is a logical fallacy for a good reason. You're a speciesist. You're a human being. You're supposed to transcend and go beyond that and above that. So, incredible, brilliant fucking CEO brain working right here. Come on, Joe. It's just human nature, Joe. Anyway, listen, it's ad time, so I'm going to hit that ad and then continue with this video.
Plenty of greedy governmental officials, plenty of greedy politicians, greedy lawyers. Greed is endemic to the human nature. Business people either have no more or no less than it. It's just part of who we are.
Has anyone ever laid it out in a way that's very compelling? Like when you have these debates with socialists and has anyone ever laid it out in a way where they have...
If greed is a naturally occurring phenomena, shouldn't we work against it? If you recognize that greed isn't a good concept, then shouldn't you work against it as best as you can? Like, I'm so confused. Unless you think greed is good.
Have a point where you see their point?
The best way to do a debate is to completely understand the other side's position.
Yeah.
Understand it as good or better than they understand it. And so I've read widely in socialistic literature. I think I do understand it. It's a type of utopianism. It's an attempt to change human nature. If we would all...
We are very successful at changing human nature. Nothing about human nature said that we could fucking go to space. Nothing about human nature made it so that we have fucking skyscrapers. Every part of human existence is literally fighting against human nature and nature in general. It's not utopian to think that, like, we should be able to recognize the greed that is within all of us, which fucking, if you had read socialistic literature, you would also understand that. And you would also recognize exactly what I just mentioned already, which is the inherent contradiction. The inherent contradiction dictates that everyone is self-interested. The fucking worker is self-interested and the boss is self-interested. Making this, like leveling the playing field, is the best thing that you can possibly do to push back against human nature. It's so fucking dumb, but it's also expected of CEOs in this day and age at a time when, like, you know, they are basically living, breathing embodiments of the Rockefellers. Like, they are. This is the same era. We are reliving it. We are reliving the same problems that we did in the fucking 20s, dude. That's where we're at. It took 100 years for us to fucking reset completely. Capitalism is human nature, which is hilarious, by the way, because if he had also read any sort of fucking communist literature or Marxist theory at the very least, he would recognize that human beings have lived in basically communist organizations for a lot longer than they've lived under capitalism. Capitalism is a relatively new phenomena in comparison to what humans used to do. Primitive accumulation, primitive communism is a lot longer and had a lot longer of a lifespan than fucking capitalism did. Why am I a conservative economically that agrees with everything that you have to say? Because you're not a conservative economically. You just think you're a conservative economically. What this guy, who portrays himself as a liberal, by the way, is way more conservative than the average conservative. That's the reality. Most conservatives that think they're fucking Republicans are not actually Republicans if you talk to them about these sorts of dynamics, especially because there are more of us. There are more of you, if you don't want to fucking consider me a worker or whatever. There are more workers out there than there are bosses. Most of you are workers. Most of you are not employers. You're employees. So when I have this conversation with you about your fucking dire circumstances, it's really silly for you to turn around and be like, wait a minute, what the fuck? No, I like to be a peasant. I like to get oppressed. I like to be fucked over. That's my favorite thing. Well, feudal systems existed longer than communists, so maybe the oldest system doesn't have to be the most natural on. What? Can you explain how humans have been living under communism? Yes, when we were foragers and hunter-gatherers, we didn't have fucking capitalism. There was no capitalism. Indigenous societies lived in more communal and more communist ways. Socialist agrarian civilization akin to kibbutzism used to be the primary modality of cultural, economic, and technological trade. I'm not talking about primitive communism in the USSR. I'm talking about primitive communism in the way that Marx wrote about it, in the way that anthropologists write about it. It's, by the way, it's been 5 minutes, motherfucker. Give me your take. I am specifically talking about France, by the way. What it means is a more free market economy. Before capitalism was in place in Europe, we had absolutism, which was a closed economy where just rich nobles could participate in. After the people France had mercantilism where everybody and more people could participate. Mercantilism where everybody could participate. Okay. Bigger pool of innovation, and now we have capitalism. It's a French juicer frog over here. Oh, I'm talking specifically about France, by the way. What I mean is a more free market economy. If only famous French economists agreed with you, brother. No, I'm not gonna ban him, dude. Look, it's fine. He's not being harmful, and he's just misguided. If I ban people like this, then I'm losing out on so many people that could change their minds. Look at the screenshot put by mods. Really? I can't say, guys, when is everybody draw Muhammad Day? How is that worth a time in any shape or form? We've been dealing with a ton of Islamophobia over the past couple of days. I'm not going to sit back and allow you to be edgy or say some dumb shit and chat to rile people up. Consider it lucky I only gave you 3 days. Not good. Muhammad cartoons are offensive, but not Islamophobia. How the fuck is that Islamophobia? Drawing Muhammad is Islamophobia. I'm sure you're doing the best you can, but saying, guys, when is everybody drawing Muhammad is not Islamophobia. I'm perfectly within my rights to say that even though Muslims find any depiction of Islam's founder to be wrong, they have a right to draw pictures of Muhammad if they choose to. Okay. He's fucking French, dude. He's just like, he's a young French juicer. We'll see. If he doesn't fucking continue saying dumb shit, I'm not going to ban him right now. That's the way I'm going with it, okay? Because the shit that I've seen from French people, that is woke in comparison to Schnickon, for reference, came into his Discord and changed his nickname to the N-word because his black friend called him a cracker. Now he's been DMing me for like 3 months trying to get unbanned. Who is that? Yeah, that's not happening. I'm a French Algerian. He's a normie French guy. Yeah, I know. He's a woke. Okay, he's Swiss, not French. He's a woke European for not saying that all Muslims categorically are fucking violent and want to behead every European and need to be purged. That's the normal take in Europe for the time being, for the duration. Wait, that's the same dude? He fucking named himself the N-word in Discord because someone called him a cracker? Yeah, okay, then ban him. What the fuck? Get out of here, dude. Also, I changed my views, especially on trans people. This is so... dude. Why do you have to be so fucking fragile, dude? Like, do you not understand that the difference between cracker and the N-word is that you can say one and you can't really say the other, and that your little moment of rebellion was perfectly justified, perfectly understandable. You don't understand that the etymology of the word cracker still gives white people the power. It comes from whip cracker. Whereas the N-word is used to dehumanize and justify the enslavement of black people. In France, that word doesn't have the same connotation in its roots. Man, don't make me start. Don't get me fucking started about French colonialism, okay? That's not true. It was my nickname in Steam, not Discord. It doesn't matter. It doesn't change your fucking horrible worldview, bro. What the fuck are you doing? That's terrible. How is it used to justify slavery? How do you justify enslaving an entire population of human beings? You say that they're different from you as a species. That's how we justify animals, by the way, consuming animals in that way, by dehumanization, by saying that they're not human, they do not know better, that they need to be owned, that they need to be sold into slavery, that they would not be able to survive on their own. That's how you do it. That's at the heart of the N-word, is that. That's why it's such a powerful word. It's always so unique. Because it comes with centuries of oppression.
If we would all love each other and if we'd all share equally, then the world would be a better place. And hey, guess what?
Hey, whip cracking isn't where the word cracker comes from, though. Yes, it is. There are numerous sources for the etymology, but yes, that's where cracker comes from. Whip cracking. That's the most common usage of cracker. It's not fucking saltine crackers, for example, if that's what you think. He literally said you shouldn't be allowed to draw his god when a French teacher just got decapitated for showing a drawing of Muhammad. Fucked up. Your god should be drawn. All gods should be. Man, fuck Muhammad, okay? I don't have a fucking personal stake in this. I don't give a shit. My issue isn't even with fucking the depiction of Muhammad as much as it is utilized as a fucking form of liberation by those who are oppressing the fucking Muslim immigrants that are coming into the country instead of welcoming them and integrating them. How do you not understand this? God damn, dude. Every fucking day there's like... Also, Muhammad isn't even God, you fucking idiot. He's the prophet. Oh. Muslims not welcome? Man, shut the fuck up. Of course Muslims are welcome. It's done. Yeah, exactly. Like you're only doing it to antagonize Muslims. It seems ridiculous to you because in your worldview, it does not, you can't even comprehend it because you love drawing Jesus. Okay? People loved drawing Jesus. They loved making Jesus white. Okay? but it does not exist. It's a fucking incredible instance of blasphemy. It's a huge sin. It was already a fucking sin to even draw humans to begin with. Originally. All depictions of humans are closer to paganism in the eyes of original like Islamic scripture. So a guy died for it? No one is justifying that. That's fucking disgusting to assume that people are justifying it. No, that's a horrible thing. Everybody knows that that's a horrible thing. The issue is, listen, the problem is everybody recognizes that someone getting decapitated for fucking showing a depiction of Muhammad is gross. It's horrible. It's fucking no justification exists for that. Those people should be punished. Absolutely. The issue is painting all Muslim immigrants that are usually subjected to horrible socioeconomic conditions regardless into further antagonization as violent backlash and violent retaliation at a time when integration is a larger necessity if you want to coexist with these people. There's only two ways to deal with conflict. Conflict resolution dictates that you either further oppress Muslims. Didn't you say 9/11 was justified though, lol? Dude, fuck you, dude. God damn. Yo, if you have no argument, immediately just fucking hit the 9/11 button. No, I don't think 9/11 is a fucking good thing or that the people deserve to die if that's what you fucking think. Yes, that's why I said it's paganism. I said paganism. That's why it's considered paganism to have depictions of humans. It's like if you went around forcing Jews to eat pork to liberate them. Yeah. That's a great take, actually. It's like closing down kosher stores because, you know, we have secularism. Sorry, for secularism, you can't have fucking kosher food. Actually, this is a really good fucking take. I had not even thought about that. Drawing the prophet as an act of liberation is basically saying that Islam equals terrorism, which is very alienating and not at all welcoming to the refugees fleeing the war-ridden countries that we, Europeans and Americans, have destroyed in the first place. Yup. No, it isn't. Why? Why do you assume they are not well integrated? Why would I assume that they're well integrated when France has fucking colonized their countries and then all the people that come to France from those colonies are treated as second-class citizens, relegated to the fucking banlieues that are in a state of disrepair? That's why, motherfucker. The most ridiculous part about it is that so many people in this chat, even like the wokest chat on Twitch for the most part, so many fucking people immediately hit the Muslims are fucking terrorists button. Like, it's just so hard. It's so hard to unlearn it. Like, it takes so much time to fucking shed yourself of the previous biases that you have, but because you're not near or ever around a Muslim person, I guess, and the only recognition you have of Islam is through media depictions, as you're in the chat of someone who grew up in a Muslim country from a Muslim family who's more progressive than you, that teaches you about the world in a very different and very progressive point of view, and yet you still fail to recognize it. You still fail to see that, like, Islam is not a monolith. "2020 has been basically about me trying to deprogram myself from neoliberal bullshit." It's not a race, Hasan. Oh, Islam is not a race. Yeah, I know. You can't be racist against Muslims. Yeah, tell that to the fucking white supremacists who keep killing Sikhs thinking that they're fucking Muslim. How is that not a race? Tell that to the motherfuckers who get shocked when they find out that my name is Hasan and that I am a Muslim. Islam is not a race, you say. Interesting perspective. Why the fuck do Americans, why were the Sikh communities the ones that got fucking harmed the most in certain circumstances? They're not Muslim. Pronounced it like sick, bro. Sorry. Ironically, there's also a debate in Europe about banning kosher slaughtering of animals because it might be considered too cruel to compare to regular slaughter. Jesus Christ. I've known several Muslim persons. I got two friends. They're the best kind of people you can find. So humble and funny and overall good. It's so sad that they're instantly labeled as terrorists because of horrible attacks of people of the same religion. Even if you are the most white passing person, once people learn you're Muslim, people already project their terrorist jokes on you. Of course. Of course. It's normal. Like, it's a normal part of my life. It was a normal part of my upbringing when I came to America. Okay? This shit sucks. I'm going to get positioned. I'm already fully assimilated. I'm financially stable. I'm comfortable. It doesn't bother me. But I know for a fact that it fucks over so many people, especially ones that really neatly fit the Muslim look, especially ones that want to freely practice their religion, okay? Without oppressing others, obviously. Speaking Islam in any way is a huge blasphemy for a majority of Muslims, but that doesn't mean people shouldn't do it. And that take about feeding Jewish people pork is equal to these caricatures is absurd. One is critiquing, the other is forcing people to do stuff. Wait. No, that you literally just said critiquing Islam in any way is a huge blasphemy. That's not critiquing Islam. Drawing the Prophet on purpose in an effort to antagonize is not critiquing Islam. It is literally the exact same as fucking feeding people pork. If you want to critique Islam, critique Islam. I critique Islam all the time. The fuck do you mean? And again, the punishment is not like a thing. There is never, ever. Like if someone was going around feeding Jews porks, then that person does not deserve to be fucking decapitated. I'm just letting you know, for those of you who do not understand. Like, that's not a thing. I know it's going to be very hard for you to not recognize this because you're so used to someone being like, you're so used to someone being I don't know, like immediately so used to someone being I don't know, immediately on board with like Islamophobia that like anyone who pushes back against it, it makes it seem like I am it makes it seem like I'm defending indefensible actions. Of course not. Of course not. No, there are educational use of drawings. I don't even look. If you, by the way, for the record, drawing a depiction of Muhammad is not even something that I'm personally against. My criticisms is not even learning about it in an academic perspective. I have no issue with that either. Okay? I don't have an issue with that. My issue is with the French government. So I don't want you guys to misunderstand what I'm saying. My issue, well, one is with, people who very purposely and very deliberately do it to antagonize. But most significantly, my issue is with Macron. My issue is with Macron and his fucking insane forced secularization policies that is making France a less safe space, not only for the Muslims, but for the white folk as well, for the fucking reactionaries. It turns the right wing into even more reactionary and more far right because it emboldens them and justifies their worldview. And it fucking makes it a less safe space for Muslims as well. That's why there have been mosque burnings and shit that's happening since then. Women wearing hijabs getting fucking stabbed. Why are we pretending that most drawings of the Prophet are not racist as fuck, bro? That's another part of the issue as well, yeah. Anyway, come on, bro. Please, saying the N-word is part of my freedom of speech, bro. Please, bro. It's a part of my gamer culture, bro. Please. Yeah. I live in Vienna, and we recently had a terrorist attack. It was a crazy individual and not a Muslim or anything. Anyways, far-right activists wore traditional Muslim clothes, played gunshots on a speaker, and went around the city. Wait, that was what happened? I thought someone actually got fucking killed. What? What happened in fucking Austria? I never even looked into that after. Yeah, someone did get killed. Wait, what? Austria's leader seeks crackdown on Islamist terror? There was no article since then. ISIS took credit for it. Four people died, 2 was in the hospital. Anyway. Real funny how terrorist attacks against white people are reported heavily for weeks, but white terrorists try to kidnap the governor of Michigan and the story barely left local news. Well, because they got caught. Like, that's part of the reason, too. They got caught and they got subverted before it. I can't tell if... You literally ignore my link that shows that Muslims in France are prohibiting women from entering cafes in certain neighborhoods. Dude, that was to spare you. I hope you realize that. As a fucking 6-month sub, you sending me fucking psychotic racist screeds of like no-go zones is basically literally to fucking defend you and to spare you and not ban you from my chat for being a racist dipshit. Like, Do you want me to do that? Do you want me to look at?
It's time for focus.
You want me to look at it? Women made to keep low profile in some fucking French suburbs. Is that what you want me to do? Huh? Do you think that this is a commonplace situation? It's a commonplace occurrence? I mean, we're literally going back to 2016. We're going back to straight the fuck up Gamergate, post-Gamergate era Islamophobia. This is completely false. This literally got, this was complete fabrication. It's not only 4 years old, but we are 4 years in to knowing that this is a falsehood, that this is a completely made-up story. Yeah, the story he's referring to was debunked, but you're still going off of it. Why does this trigger you so much? Because I'm Muslim, you fucking idiot. Maybe that has a fucking reason. Because I'm more progressive than you, and very clearly my entire existence proves that Islam is not a fucking monolith, and I got dumbass fucking Zoomers that I've been trying to deprogram for the longest fucking time, bringing up debunked shit from 2016 to be like, no, Muslims are actually really fucking aggressive and they're doing no-go zones. Maybe that's why I'm fucking pissed off, because it seems like all my efforts are in vain. It's okay to believe in reactionary agitprop against Islam and against Muslims because it corresponds to my worldview. Is not as good as an argument as you think it is. Fox News had to apologize. A motherfucker in my audience just sent me a link that Fox News had to apologize for. How does that not make me angry? Fox News had to apologize for running with this misinformation, and motherfuckers in my audience that have been subscribers for 6 months are still sending me this shit from 2016. How am I not going to get mad at that? Why are you mad at that? Oh, you lost the argument. You're emotional. Fucking idiot. These are the same people that are so fucking woke too. So woke on everything else. But then there's one issue where you're like, just fucking flip a switch. I'm doing my hardest to not fucking ban you. Okay? But you have to acknowledge that this shit is completely unacceptable. Like, what you're doing is no different than the dude who sends me 1350 stats. When I'm talking about black people, you're basically doing that. But you think you're woke because you're trained by the r/atheism way of thinking, the anti-theist mentality that you have. And I say this as someone who is declared a heretic by every single fucking, like, actual practicing Muslim. Most Muslims look at me as a heretic, okay? That I am not religious at all, okay? I'm not. I'm culturally Muslim. Then why are you defending them? Because them is the heart of the problem. Them is the criticism. Because in some ways, I am them. Because when you say them, you say every single fucking Muslim thinks you should be decapitated for drawing the Prophet Muhammad. And the only way to fucking fight back against it is by drawing the Prophet Muhammad and, like, blasting it on fucking sides of buildings, and also making sure that every single child that's born to a Muslim family gets fucking properly coded and surveilled for the rest of their lives. That's why I have a problem with this. Them. Fucking idiot, dude. How do you recognize your own personal flaws, your own personal shortcomings when it comes to unlearning racism, when it comes to unlearning so many different things that you have been subjected to your entire life as a consequence of social conditioning? But then when it comes to an area where you just have these biases that have never been challenged, you're like, nope, this actually makes sense. Apply the same critical thinking skills that you applied to unlearn racism to this area as well. And I do this despite the fact that it's not popular to do. Is this an actual video you're watching? I was, and then we got into a fucking, a conversation about Islamophobia. They're just making Muslims, sure Muslims go to school. Stop spreading misinformation. That's bullshit, brother. You're a fucking liar, and you deserve to get banned for this level of misinformation. They're not just making Muslims go to school, you fucking piece of shit. I bet you have a similar take on another group of Muslims too, though. At least you're consistent in that regard. How do you rationalize the level of barbarism in Islamic nations and populations, from Saudi Arabia beheading people in public square for apostasy to large segments of Islamic populations supporting the attacks in France? Do you think it's a deviation from religion or a feature? How do you rationalize the level of barbarism that dictates that a fucking dude who flies 6,000 miles away from their fucking home in a cause that they believe to be just, that ends up with them sniper scoping fucking random women in public in someone else's country? Fucking dipshit. Barbarism. As though I support Saudi Arabia, like the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and fundamentalist Islam and theocracies. There you go. Lost 3K viewers. Well, one more then. Add one more to the fucking pile. Oh. Anyway.
Probably would be if we were naturally that way, but we're not naturally that way.
And no, these aren't fucking XQC refugees. These are literally people in my audience that are so woke about anti-theism that they, like, you know, turn all over again. All right, we're going to get back to this now.
Share equally. If we would all love each other and if we'd all share equally, then the world would be a better place. And hey, guess what? It probably would be if we were naturally that way, but we're not naturally that way. We look first generally for ourselves and our own families, and then our growing circle of relationships that we develop. It's natural to want your own children to have advantages. That's just human nature, to want your children to flourish because you raise them, you love them. And somehow or another to say that's unfair is cutting against human nature. People are always going to look for advantages or privileges, so to speak, for their children.
Yeah, people don't like when people have advantages and have victories, because then someone has to lose. And when someone loses, they equate that someone losing with a bad feeling, with that person being victimized. Like there's some.
All right, so here's a big idea we talk about in conscious leadership. We have a chapter called Find Win-Win-Win Solutions. The metaphors that we use to think about society tend to be very binary, good versus evil, light versus darkness, win versus lose. And so they tend to think of business as a win-lose game. Somebody wins and somebody else is losing. But the beauty of capitalism is it's a win-win-win game. It's an infinite game. It's a game because the customers are winning or they wouldn't trade. The employees are winning. How are the customers winning? They're getting products and services and there's competition to make those services and products better.
Why is it that whenever a big-brained capitalist like this man right here try to defend capitalism or talk about capitalism, they come across as babies? Like their justification is like a child, like a baby. Like, oh, you have such a baby way, this idealistic baby way of describing capitalism.
Employees are winning because they have jobs and opportunities to grow. Benefits are paid, and they do that voluntarily. They're not forced to work for any particular company. They do.
Explain to me how everyone is not in some way, shape, or form coerced to work. You think people want to work at fucking Whole Foods for however much money they make? I mean, I know people that are in this chat right now that fucking worked for this dude. Pretty sure that they were coerced to work. They were forced to work. And the reason why they were forced to work is because if they don't work, they fucking starve. That's how it works. At least socialists are honest about the way capitalism works. I myself am very fond of capitalism, or at least the way that marginally better products are revealed every year. Okay? I get it. But I also understand that it is done with a tremendous amount of cruelty. This motherfucker is just lying to himself, lying to Joe Rogan, lying to Joe Rogan's audience.
Do it because they think it's in their best interest. Win for the employees. The suppliers who are trading with the business, they're winning as well, or they wouldn't make the exchanges. Investors are winning, or they wouldn't make the investments. And the larger society is winning because business is the engine that creates all the money that goes into nonprofits and governments. Without business, there is no government, and there is no nonprofit sector, because those are ultimately.
The nonprofit sector is so fucking gross. The nonprofit sector is literally a sector that exists because the government is failing to do their fucking jobs. The nonprofit sector would not exist in a society that worked, okay? In a society that works properly, there would be no need for philanthropy. What a fucking idiotic take. Without business, there is no charity? Well, fuck charity, motherfucker. Why do we have charity? There would be no need for charity if business owners distributed their profits evenly, motherfucker. There'd be no need for charity if business owners were so magnanimous that they distributed profits evenly. Then there would be no need for charity. There would be no need for fucking nonprofits of this kind.
Applied through what business creates. So business is a win-win-win game. All of these stakeholders are winning, and that's why capitalism lifts society up. Socialism.
A rising tide lifts all boats is, again, completely outdated, disproven a million times over, and silly as fuck. Completely silly. Complete nonsensical position. It's just not real. It's not true. Look around. Come on, Joe. You grew up fucking poor. You know that that's not the case. I mean, this is crazy. You're misrepresenting what he said. He said the stakeholders win. He was accidentally honest. No, he's talking about businesses and how they fuel the nonprofit sector.
Is an attempt to reverse that back to a win-lose game. And that's why it always fails. And that's why capitalism
How is it
always
an
wins.
attempt to bring it back to a win-lose game? In what way?
The ones that are winning, so to speak, the business people are clamped down, so they're not allowed to win. It's like, we're going to take your success and we're going to redistribute it. So that, as again, you said earlier on, incentives matter. But we're going to take away the incentives for business to really flourish and succeed.
What is your repulse to the idea that if socialism was efficient, then we'd have worker co-ops? Worker co-ops existing under capitalism is incredibly difficult, not because worker co-ops are not as productive or anything, but more so because of wealth accumulation. To start a business, you need to have capital. There aren't public banks that are offering fucking worker co-ops loans so that like they can launch these sorts of worker co-op style businesses. Co-ops do exist. They are successful. But here's your repost, however the fuck you say it.
They should do it from altruistic reasons. And we may do some things for altruistic reasons, but you cannot build a society around it.
When you're talking about win-win-win, this is a very, in many ways, I see what you're saying, but there are things that are negative that are associated with profit and innovation and particularly expanding industry, right? For particularly environmental impacts. Like when you say win-win-win, like there's very rare.
Damn, Joe Rogan is like, is he gonna fucking push back and have an eco-socialist take here?
Especially when you're dealing with creating and designing and building things, you've got a negative impact in some way environmentally.
Two points. First of all,
I like that his argument was capitalism isn't winner take all and like winners and losers. It's just everyone's a winner. Oh, okay. So I guess it's fine when you just reframe the question and operate on a complete false premise like a baby would. No, you're wrong, Joe. Here's why you're wrong. Because capitalism isn't when some people win and some people lose. It's when everybody wins. Oh, okay. Never mind then. Thank you, Mr. CEO. It seems like it's a good take then.
Historically, socialism's been far worse polluter than capitalistic countries. Well, if you just look at the environmental destruction that the Soviet Union left behind it, it was a complete disaster.
Right, but this is socialism done wrong, John. We're going to do it right.
Wait, oh, Jesus fucking Christ. What? A complete fucking... That's insane, dude. Are we not considering America's existence? Is America like completely outside of the world? What the fuck? What the fuck kind of take is this? What the fuck kind of take is this, dude? He's comparing an industrializing nation to an already industrialized nation. It's a false equivalence. Again, a false equivalence that literally straight the fuck up is supposed to be a counter argument that he's supposed to be pushing back against. If a USSR supporter said, look how, look at the footprint of look at the carbon footprint of the USSR in comparison to the United States, you're supposed to push back against that and be like, whoa, hold on. That's a false equivalence because the United States was an already industrialized nation. Like, he's doing the Trump thing where, you know how Trump used to say, swine flu, because he knew that no one would look at no one would actually look at the actual numbers. So he's wrong. Like, he's just completely wrong. Not only is he wrong, but he's so wrong that it's literally a false equivalence to make this comparison. Like, if a USSR supporter used this argument, I would push back and say, well, it's a false equivalence.
Right here.
Who has done it right, Joe?
No one.
No one's done it right.
But the Soviet Union is a bad example.
No,
Stalin was.
Yeah, but all of Eastern Europe, there's no incentive to protect the common good in socialism. And they don't. When the government has...
What the fuck are you talking? Wait, what? Okay. And then, again, you are basing your entire argument off of a false notion of what socialism is, or with the full knowledge that like every single person doesn't know what it is, so they'll just fucking, you know, go along with it. Socialism is all the bad things and capitalism is all the good things, is what you can reduce this dude's argument to. Socialism over capitalism is just a different way of reorganizing the economy. It is completely fucking nonsensical and psychotic to say there is no protective element under a socialist organization of the economy when there are many different forms of socialism, many different transitional states towards socialism, and each with their individual problems and each with their individual benefits. But ultimately, like, there is no fucking protective barrier under socialism. Is so silly when even market socialism, for example, is all about democratizing the fucking workplace, which is currently an authoritarian construct that we all exist under and think, you know, it's fine that way. That companies are supposed to be authoritarian. There is not supposed to be democracy inside of a company. If it's policy they agree with, the country must not be socialist, i.e. Scandinavia. If they disagree with the policy, the country must be authoritarian, USSR, Vuvuzela. Yeah. This is so bad. I mean, of course he's going to say this. He's a fucking CEO. But again, correct me if I'm wrong, but socialism is just taxing the wealth more and giving that tax to the community because I don't understand. No, that's not socialism. What you're describing could be considered socialization, but that's not socialism. Socialism is about a mode of production. Socialism is about how you distribute profits and how you create commodities. Okay? Socialism is about the workers owning the means of production. Socialism is about the workers having more say in how companies should operate. Socialism is about the way that profit gets distributed. It's at the heart of the matter, the heart of Marxism. It's not about distributing profits or whatever. I mean, not distributing profits. It's not about like taxing people more. Giving the means of production back to the workers. You have no idea what you are talking about. What is socialism about? Socialism is so fucking dumb. Just wait until supply goes up again. Have some patience. Bro, remember 9/11? Get the fuck out of here. Wait, I want to hear from this guy now. Please explain to me what socialism is, if it's not what I just said. Socialism is when government man bad. Right? I'm wrong. You're right. Check my logs. He's the friend I was talking about. I unironically like Sam Harris. If my logs get rid of, I was in Discord with a new friend, new to the stream, and I said, let me speedrun getting banned real quick because I implied the Muslims in France weren't French. Love the stream. When? Uzbeki news when? Pogo is on? What? What are you guys doing? Like, we're done with this shit. All right,
Has a monopoly of all decision and power making. They don't tend to look out for the environment. That's one of the myths.
You also take away agency from people, and you take away their desire to improve and do better. And without incentive, people just don't perform the same.
Again, this is not a productive conversation because they've already admitted, they've already like assumed that the only way to incentivize people to do fucking work is by the threat of violence, the structural violence of poverty. If that's the only way you motivate people to work, as ironically, these are two very successful individuals who are incentivized not by making money, maybe the CEO is, But I know for a fucking fact that Joe Rogan isn't incentivized by making more money every single goddamn day. That's not why he's doing the podcast. He's doing the podcast probably because he loves what he does. It's either you motivate people by coercing them into doing shit that they don't want to do, or you motivate them with positive incentivization. I lose money trading. Prove me wrong. You can't. Of course I can't.
Same way.
But the beautiful thing about business, let's concede a partial truth to what you said, that there will be unintended negative consequences, as you say, environmentally. Well, that's why you have to regulate business to a certain extent. That's why you have to make people responsible for their environmental pollutants. And because business innovates and has an incentive to innovate, business can innovate and create solutions to those environmental problems.
Okay, let me stop you there for.
Like, I mean, come on, dude. Like, even brain dead, like, doo-doo butts can fucking come up with a better argument, a counter on the fly than this. Like, no, businesses are not fucking incentivized to innovate, and they're not the only ones who are incentivized to innovate. What a dumb fuck take, dude. Holy shit. Like, let's see what Joe Rogan has to say. I mean, this just is ahistorical. Like, I don't know what else to say here, aside from the fact that this is so fucking stupid because it denies that, like, publicly funded research exists. Like, fucking abolish the NIH, dude. I mean, seriously, just abolish it all. No more public institutions. It's been the businesses that are innovating. They're at the forefront of innovation. The internet would have existed. We would have fucking figured out the internet on our own. Things that require decades of research. Like great technological leaps that require decades of fucking research and no fear of immediate short-term gain. That does not happen in the private sector.
For a second, when you say make people responsible for their environmental pollutants, then we're going to have to deal with another aspect of capitalism, and that's the effect that special interest groups and lobbyists have on politicians, because they create laws that shield these big businesses from consequences.
Man, why do you fucking turn around and, like, do this? Why? Why do you do this? Why do you do this? Who the fuck submitted this? Okay, I'm fucking clapping. Mr. Blue Sky. I wonder what their takes are. My brother got married at Robin, a Jewish religious governing body in the state of Israel, which is also the same-sex marriage, so the neighbor had his own kind of protest. What the fuck is this? Ethiopian Jew here. Look at his submitted. What fucking subreddit is this? Doxing him? How is this fucking doxing? Shut the fuck up, idiot. Publicly available information. This is the person who made the clip. Let's take a look at Mr. Blue Sky, 1977. Why do you do this? Like, why do you do this, man? Seriously. Like, serious question. Are you a piece of shit? Is that why you do this? Like, what's your... The fuck? Account created May 1st. Following this is March 3rd. I love you, bro. Guess not. There's no way they're born in 1977. That's insanity. Abba and preacher incels? Ad time.
Consequences from these negative actions. So by saying that they have to clean up their problem, the only way that's ever going to happen is if they're not protected, if they don't use that influence and money.
Totally agree.
So this is where I think a lot of people have a valid argument against capitalism. Capitalism has kind of fucked over our system of government in a way, because money has gotten so deeply involved with super PACs and lobbyists, and there's so much money involved that it changes the way we govern things.
Is that a flaw of capitalism or is that a flaw of government?
I think it's a flaw of government, but that government has been influenced by capitalism, by capitalism's desire for universal growth, for constant growth.
The sad truth is that humanity is not perfectible. We can never create the perfect system. And the attempt to create the perfect system, the perfect is the enemy of the good.
Right.
Capitalism is not perfect. It does not, because human choices and what people want varies. Capitalism will sell cigarettes to people because that's what people want. It gives them pleasure, but it's bad for their health. But they're giving people what they want. It's the same thing in any type of externality. That's not deliberately done to harm.
I love this video because it just, I'm sorry, but it just proves how fucking stupid CEOs can be and that meritocracy is a lie. Like, there's no better example of this reality than what we are just watching currently.
Harm the society. It's sort of a byproduct.
Right, but this is why win-win-win doesn't really work. It's not really win-win-win. It's win most of the time, but with some negative consequences that are better than the alternative, right?
But what you strive for is to take those externalities or those negative consequences and try to, through good government, to minimize them or lessen them. I'll give you an example. So you used to live in L.A. Well, when I went to L.A. back in the early 80s, it was like going to New Delhi today. I couldn't see. My lungs hurt less than 24 hours.
Right.
But through good regulations, the air in L.A. is a fraction as polluted as it was 40 years ago. We have been able to clean it up. That is an example of how you can take the worst impacts of industrialization and ameliorate them or lessen them.
Episodes of
Okay, this was... Wait. I don't even understand what he's trying to say. I mean, hey, at least you should be happy with the knowledge that, like, you and every other fucking moron on the internet that, I don't know, has, like, libertarian Andy takes are in agreement with a fucking CEO. So, at least you got that going.